heading now for the mobile video monetization panel. I would like to invite Chen Shalit from IronSource, who will moderate the panel. On this note, we have, as you saw early in the morning, a guest for Alexandra from IB Tech Lab, and we will host intimate seminar on the 17th. So if companies want to join us, we will discuss, the opportunities of local companies with the IB Tech Lab organization and how we can, facilitate, the local ecosystem here. And also, we have a representative from the Mexico at the exhibition area, and there are special offers for the Israeli market for exhibitors and during the month of May. So please check with Charlotte, and we will, after the conference, send you more information.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, Ariel. It's exciting to see how from each event to another, we're just growing and growing. So it is exciting. Thank you for joining our panel today. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Yossi. I'm from Appreciate DSP. We have only in-app traffic. We're connected to over 40 exchanges, including ADEX and Mopub and many more. We have the ability to give the advertisers and meet their KPIs, both on performance and branding. And I appreciate all of you to coming here.
Hey guys, I'm Oshri from PLAYBUZZ, heading the video department. So PLAYBUZZ is essentially a story creation platform. Enables publishers and premium brands to create engagement through stories, long format stories, and we also monetize those stories that are on our network with friendly monetization solutions. That's it.
Hi, Eliran Ben Yehuda from TABOOLA, country manager for Israel and South Africa. TABOOLA is the largest discovery platform in the world. That's it.
Hi, Hanoch Rabinovitz, or Han, from Signal.io. We're building Core. Core is a full path optimization technology. It helps sellers and buyers on programmatic to boost their efficiency and have a fully transparent ecosystem.
Thank you. I'm Chen Shalit, just joined IronSource. Happy to be there, happy to be here as well. So we will start with our first subject that not a lot wants to discuss it, but it's coming. So GDPR, it will be in effect at the end of this month. How do you think this is going to affect the ad industry in Europe and beyond? Whoever wants to take first.
Hi. Okay, so first of all, regarding GDPR, of course, I think it's an important step. I mean, users has the right to decide if they want to share their data or not, and it's good that we're going into this kind of transparency for explaining the users what exactly they're sharing and give them the choice if they want to share it or not. Regarding the ad itself, the ad industry itself, I think that advertisers will have to deal with getting less data, and I don't think that they will, give up this traffic and decide not to buy just because they don't have the data. Of course, on the long run, they will be adjusted to the current situation. On the publisher side, I do think that they need to probably find creative ways in order to get the data from the users. Maybe kind of offering them rewards on the app itself in order to for them to share the data. And I do think that we're going to see like the traffic divided between premium traffic and sort of remnant traffic according to the data that we'll have.
Hi. So yes, GDPR is coming, and basically it's going to help advertisers to better target their audiences. Just because if you we'll see what's happening today, that a lot of advertisers are retargeting the same users that already performed any action. If they bought any product or any conversion that you're going to measure after it, it's not compelling for the advertiser just because they're continuing to chase the users that already, let's for instance, purchased the product, and it's no more, it's not relevant no more to continue purchasing them and bugging them online. I think that what we're essentially going to do with PLAYBUZZ is we're first of all going to be fully compliant until 25th of May, and all our publishers are going we're not going to basically gather any information on the users for those publishers, but what we do is we target behavior of users. So for instance, we don't know that Chen, Shalit specifically is interacting with our ads, but we know that Chen Shalit likes to interact with polls. For instance, anytime we shared a new poll on our platform or a new quiz, he was always interacting with this inventory. So we don't need any user ID or anything like this. We're just targeting this particular A user that likes to interact with specific content, and then we'll show relevant content and also relevant ads to this user.
Okay, it's actually interesting what you just said, and I would like to hear also Eliran, because you are both part of leading monetization solutions available today, and it's important for us to know how do your publishers are getting ready for that, and do you think are they really prepared?
First, I don't know what's going to happen. No one really know what's going to happen. It's a new thing. I think that everybody is taking this very seriously. We had several events, and we have a team that are working with our partners to find a solution to make sure that everybody are fully compliant for that. TABOOLA definitely working on that in the past year already, not just in the past months. So first, I think you need to be aware of that. I think that the problem is that the legislation is not so clear. Nobody knows what exactly they want to say, what exactly they want to do, and what it means to be fully compliant. You have lots of law firms that get tons of money, and I think that's one good thing that happened for the law industry. But other than this, I think time will tell. I don't think that any one of us here can tell what future will bring. But I think so. Definitely to talk about it, to see if your clients are working on it, to the legal departments need to work on that to make sure that everybody is fully compliant. And I don't see it as it's something that will hit in May 25th. It's not gonna stop the internet or something like that, but you do need to be ready for that, and you do need to understand as much as you can.
Okay, it's a bit vague, but maybe if you can give us some action items, just if you want to share. Me as a publisher in Europe, I'm super afraid from GDPR. What can you recommend me to do 2 weeks from now?
Mainly to talk to your legal department. I don't think that's something. I'm sorry that I don't have a list of to-do list. Okay, but I think definitely you need to work with the legal department. It's a very vague and very unclear legislation. I think it's on purpose. It's like that because it's not easy to go and block the data from one hand. From the other hand, we had ad block years before, and we know that publishers know how to deal with that. So on the two sides of that, I'll say that first you need to work with your legal. Second, you need to make sure that you understand what's the next step and what's the effect of those things on your site, on your publisher, if you are a publisher in Europe, and to make sure that you won't be the first one there to take down or something like that.
It's definitely going to be interesting times. Hanoch, anything you want to add before we move to the next subject?
I just want to say that you have to look at GDPR in the bigger picture. GDPR is part of what we are now facing, privacy-centered digital economy. Everything will be centered on the privacy of the user. Look at Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, look at Equifax. These are scandals in the scale that is going to change our culture and our economy, including our digital economy. As solutions, I think that anyone who, on both sides, want to be equipped needs to look very deeply into the way he stores and processes data. And if he even touches personal data, there are other technological, highly advanced technological solutions that can help him to get the same insights, same level of performance without touching the personal data. It's there.
Well, can you give an example for something specific?
The technology we're developing never touches personal data. We look only at, with AI and ML, we look only on clusters and insights of the traffic of the session. We never dig into the, as you said, we never dig into the user data, we dig into the user behavior. And it's completely different. And I think the industry will see more and more solutions like that.
It wasn't a planned question if you think it was. Let's discuss some business models. So I heard a lot, Eliran, you were talking about CPV. We're talking a lot about CPM, CPI, CPA. What do you think is the best way to ensure advertisers are running ROI positive on efficient campaigns today, and why?
So lately we launched the CPCV business model on video, of course. So I think so what's happening is that we have a lot of data now, and you work with brands and agencies and with performance agencies and with affiliates and stuff like that, and they ask you always about CTRs and in the late years, and then you see that evolving to see the conversion, the performance, and everything. Now you need to find yourself in a you need to find ways in order to be risk-free platform. And risk-free means that you pay only for things that you got. So if you target audience, a certain audience, you want to target only this audience. If you want to have a video campaign, you want to pay only for completed views and not for not to pay a CPM, high CPM on a campaign that doesn't deliver high viewability or completion rate. So I can tell you that from our end, when we launched the video platform, we started with CPM, as most of the platforms, and we saw that it's really not easy. I won't say hard, but it's really not easy to get big budgets. So we got a lot of small budgets of tests when we are talking on direct. Of course, that programmatic is another thing. That's always, usually it's CPM, but when you are talking direct with advertisers, it's not something that's easy to bring big budgets from them on a CPM base. Because advertisers are afraid to spend the money with no good results, and after that, it's not easy to even explain where the money goes. So after we investigated into it, and we saw that we had lots of conversation with big agencies and big advertisers worldwide, we decided to go to CPCV, which means a risk-free model that you're paying only for views that were on your platform, on desktop or on mobile, and that were 100% complete on the viewport. Only then you'll pay 2 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents, 8 cents, doesn't matter, the price is on a bid, but only then you're gonna pay. And when we did this, we saw that it helped advertisers to bring big budgets, sometimes even millions of dollars on one campaign, one single campaign. And that's something that it shows you that risk-free models are helping you to not just develop the platform that you have, but also to get to brand managers and marketing manager, where all the platforms, that's what everybody is looking for. So I think that's mainly if you're talking about business model and how to react to that phase, to what we see right now, is thinking about risk-free platform and how to explain the value that your advertiser is getting from your platform.
I want to take it a step forward. You can keep discussing the business models, but also how does the advertiser measure the success? So there were a lot of buzzwords: viewability, completion rates, ad verification tools. What are the new metrics you think advertisers are going to use this year to measure results? And do you think the current options are good enough?
So yeah, it's been a long period when advertisers were only working on CPM and CPCs. And this happens because Facebook's algorithms usually attract, and give a boost to your feeds that are attracting clicks and views. But the truth to be told is that clicks and views can no longer use as a determination if a campaign was successful or not. What we're doing with PLAYBUZZ, we're working on a CPE with advertisers and mainly brands that we're building brand-end campaigns for them, and it can be any one of our editorial forms as well. We're doing brand-end content campaigns that the advertisers is paying only for engagement, meaning that users are actually engaging with your either content or ads. So if it's a trivia, for instance, if users was pressing Let's Play and started to interact with your trivia, and then we'll also only show video ads. If you want to show video ads through this branded content, we also blend it natively, meaning we have a branded element campaign that it's basically blending the content through the actual editorial, and creates a synergy between the user's content and the user's ads that you're seeing. There's a relevance between them. And so far, Netflix, Brita, and also Sci-Fi, broadcasters from the UK, has successfully completed those campaigns with us. We're talking about close to $1 million budgets from each, and they're very happy with the results.
So you were actually one of the first pioneers in content personalization, but lately we see everybody going towards this direction. Do you think the amount of resources invested in this creation of content, do you see this trend evolving, or it will be differently this year?
As I said, advertisers will keep on creating more personalized content and personalized ads, just because the users is not reacting no more. We found it out in PLAYBUZZ that the sacred thing, basically, and that the biggest asset is the user attention spans. And in a world that most users are spending no more than 8 seconds on a content, you have to make them, stay longer. And what advertisers are trying to do right now is measure the dwell time and to see how much time will a user, interact with the page, so that we can also monetize it better, because we need to keep him there in order to do it. So definitely a lot of companies are trying to go to the native side of things, and branded content is one of them. So we create a content that is dedicated for the user to interact with, and also the ads that will be inside of it have to be compelling. So we think that users don't have to tolerate ads, rather than just try to interact with them, and actually the ads will be interesting for them. So yes, so branded element is one product that is really going towards this thing, and we have another narratives via our storytelling platform that we use in order to create content that is more compelling to the users.
Eliran or anyone else, do you see the same trend for ads as well? Will we see more personalized ads on those piece of content?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. We build all the TABOOLA platform on based of personalization. The idea is that, as said before, people won't click on something that it's not compelling to them. It's not something that they see as relevant for them, and that's something that it's not news. We all know that. But I think the reason that we are talking about that right now, it's because we have enough data today to analyze which kind of content and which kind of ad you want to put in front of your audience. And when you're looking at the conversion rate, and you see those little numbers of 1%, 2%, 3%, sometimes even less than 1% on the end of funnel conversion, you understand that the relevant people that you reached out for a mass media of people, and only the relevant people convert in the end. And now the question is that if we had multi-segment content or multi-segment ad, can we get a higher conversion rate? And the answer is yes, of course. And I see more and more agencies start to work in a different way. Instead of bringing one piece of content or one piece of ad, we see they go with segments. They start with run over network, and then they see how the audience react, because they have this data now. They're like, you can check which kind of audience actually convert, and what kind of segments this data, this kind of audience actually refer to. So if you see that you have, so we had a conversation lately in the car industry with several of the car industry in Israel, which picture you need to have on your ad in order to sell car for women. Is it men or women? Now this answer is, it's quite interesting, this question is quite interesting question, because you'll think, okay, if I want to sell car for women, I need to have women on the ad, right? So the answer is no, the answer is men. And when you understand this, first of all, when you have data that can show you this, it's not just plain A/B test that shows you that the ad with the guy works better than the ad with the women. It's not like that. It's even more deeper than this. It's where you saw that the user engage with the content, complete the video, a lot of things that you see after the click and post-click conversion and stuff like that. And I think when we have this amount of data and in this scale, that it's not just something that we see here, now, and then. It's actually a long-term in scale data. It's very easy for us to take this data and to build the whole campaign in a different way, in a way that it's more compelling for each segment of the users. So yeah, definitely personalization is going to be even bigger and heavier and messier in the future.
I just wanted to add from the in-app DSP perspective. So what basically we're seeing on our end is that definitely, again, like everyone said, campaigns, we see that advertisers from specific segment works much better on their targeted segment. We do have automatic tools that does that automatically for the advertiser. Another thing that we can see and that we see on our platform, and we also, I believe that we'll see much more in the future, is that basically a lot of location targeting going to interests, which is something that advertisers needs to take into consideration where they want to have like personalized ads or getting into the right user. Of course, using data providers in order basically to get the targeted ad that they want, personalized ad, of course.
Okay, so I want to raise a subject regarding native ads. A lot of publishers are coming to us. Someone convinced them that ads have to be native and they don't want ads to be intrusive to their users. And I think native ads became something very vague. I want to hear your opinion. What is native ads and how do you define it?
So yeah, definitely, native ads is definitely growing on our platform. We definitely see it as a growing ad unit, and we also suggest to all of our advertisers to use it with more than one content, of course. I think that the main reason is that it's less interfering to the user, and the user gets more information about the product and the brand itself and the rating of the app. Or in general the ad, and we see it working amazing with shopping campaigns, for example. And I think that because we're in video monetization summit, I can say that we see the evolution of native into native video, because we're as users we're used to seeing a lot of video content. So now we have a lot of native video as well, and then publishers on the inner port start supporting it much more.
In terms of native ads, and it is a big buzzword, so I'll try to give it, my 2 cents. Well, basically, native ad is any ad experience or commercial content experience that is appearing on a user's journey or a user's path within content. And recent studies actually shows that users, and specifically millennials, which are very hot segment at the moment. I don't really care if the content is branded and paid or if it's just editorial content. As long as the content is unique and is good, meaning relevant, they want to keep reading it. And there are tools to measure the success of such elements. And you can see if a user's is just interacting with your article, even though it says sponsored on top of it, and it essentially means that is good. We measured 2 minutes, 15 seconds average on each user session on some of our branded content that we developed for our advertisers and run it on our network.
I wanted to comment something about the viewability, which is part of the performance savviness of the industry right now. So it shouldn't be a surprise that the relevant audience will see relevant ads. I mean, if you're reading an article about cars, an ad about car should be relevant or more relevant for you, right? I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise. The surprise is, why do you, the buyers, work in such low efficiency of finding these requests? You need to find these in the mountain of data. So the level of efficiency is actually your effort of finding these relevant requests to your campaign. So any tool like viewability or native ads and such needs tons of data just for you to find the relevant people to push it in front of them. On the other side, you need great tools to measure the performance of these tools. So if you have multi-segmentation of your audience, you need to really measure how these are working. Otherwise, at the end of the day, the advertisers that are pushing for more performance would not know if they got the right result. So I think as the more we look smartly at the data that we have, is the way to push the performance using these tools.
Eliran, do you think the technologies are there yet? Are they good enough to do what Hanoch just mentioned?
Well, it's still developing. Yeah, but take 2 years ago, and you can see that developed that many platforms did so far. So today, let's say just in TABOOLA, because I think it was also in the press release that we launched a few months ago. You can target people that like chocolate, okay? So, and or you can target people that buy Gucci clothes for their children. So that's very precise segments. That's a very specific people that you are targeting, and yeah, I think that there's still a lot to do. There is still a lot to do in order to make to spend the budget more efficiently, and brand managers they take the market to there because they take the budgets and they spend them in many platforms. It's easy today to get to many platforms. It's not just when we started it was only Facebook, Google. Now we see that there is lots of alternative for that. And people are trying new things, and also you see the targeting become very important for most of the audience, most of the marketeers. So yeah, definitely it's going to happen more and more often. I think that 2 years from now we'll sit in such forums and we'll talk about this year that we had no targeting. That would be easy to say then. But so overall, definitely, yeah, we go to a path that targeting is something that going to evolve more and more, and personalization, targeting, and native ads, and all those things are part of this era because you have more data, as we said before, and it's easy for you to do that on big scales. So.
Last time I was here on the stage, we discussed ads.text, and I said it's one of the best and most promising things that are going to change our industry. You're connected to the publishers. Are they happy with ads.text? How did it evolve? And do you think it will really go also for in-app during this year?
So yeah, ads.text is a huge deal, specifically because it provides advertisers with transparency towards where they're going to run and distribute their campaigns. And what we've seen with our publishers, that includes most of the first-year publishers in the States, like ESPN, Huffington Post, MTV, you name it. So they're basically approximately 70% of the publishers that are working with us implemented ads.txt, and what it did, it essentially raised the CPMs that the publishers is getting for its inventory, just because it declines the amount of spoof domains that some platforms used to generate. So there's less buyers basically on the same page, and then the competition is lower, and CPMs are pretty much higher for them. And also, it gives advertisers the ability to choose which domain they want to do, because the ads.txt files are publicly known, and you can just browse any website and see if anyone that is interested to sell inventory to you is actually authorized to do so. So in general, I think that it's actually a good movement, towards more transparency and brand safety for the publishers.
Hanoch, what do you think? Who's happier, the publishers or the big companies like Google and the rest?
We're actually here to make the SSPs and DSPs happier. So if you ask, I can just say that it's an exciting day for us, because in a few days we're going to announce ads.txt as part of our service. So we have a fully functional ads.txt as a feature in core, our technology. So any buyer who is connected to us, and there are quite a few that already does that, it just saves itself to the full processing of these files. So you get it as part of the service. But yeah, it's a highly brand protection kind of tool. So and the adoption is very high.
Anything else you want to add?
I just can say that, again, from an INAP perspective, we probably will see it, expanding also to the INAP world. Again, I think like Oshri said, it's a great transparency tool. I can say that on our end, we're already kind of, doing ads.txt. Of course, we don't know exactly who's authorized to sell each traffic, but we do provide full transparency for the advertisers to see exactly what they're buying.
I do agree. It will go also to INAP, so let's make the most of this year. What are the most desired ad formats buyers are looking for today, and why, in your opinion? Because you all represent different ad units and publishers, so the obvious answer will be to say yours, but generally speaking, looking at the industry, what are the most efficient ones that users want to attract?
So I see, again, from our perspective,
In-app?
yeah, so we're seeing on our end of definitely growth of rewarded video and playable ads. I think that it's mainly because these ad units are give the users the advantage to be more engaged. I mean, the user is part of the discussion. He can decide if he wants to see the ad on rewarded video, for example, and he can decide, unlike regular video ads, they're just popping and you can't really decide if you want to watch it or not. And also on Playable, it's sort of like a sneak peek of the app. It gives them a lot of information during these few seconds that they can play the app if they are happy or not. So that's definitely growing, especially for gaming developers. And of course, we mentioned already native ads, which is really growing, again, mainly for e-commerce advertisers.
Yes, so what we are seeing is, as I said also before, that if you divide it to display and video, so on video side, definitely more advertisers are searching for in-stream pre-roll, just because it's there for a long time, and it usually the pre-roll is something that users that are going to interact with any content, they must see it before. Or if it's a mid-roll, so that it comes basically in the middle of the content they are consuming, and the viewability rates are 95% plus compared to outstream units that are just bursting from the page, and you can scroll down and not really see any ad or interact with it. And on the display side, it's also pretty much the same. The thing is to move towards a native units that are blending into the article. Doesn't matter if it's a branded article or an editorial one, but the context, the same context of the ad to the page, like they said before, and work as much as you can to make it look like it's part of the content and part of the journey of the user. So these are the best, the two.
Hanoch, do you agree with the mid-roll point? Because I'm thinking about me as a user watching a football game, and then at the most interesting part to see an ad. I'm not sure this is like the best format I as a user will want to see.
Actually, coming from marketing strategy, I'm looking from the point of view of the user himself. So let me turn the question on. I think that what we see is the most hated, unsatisfied ad format is the mid-rolls and the outstreams. I mean, people really hate it, and recent researches really support that. Like 60 or 70% of the audience really hate to see mid-rolls. So, pay attention before you push any mid-roll before Neta is shouting kapara alechem. I don't think anyone like to see that. So,
we do like to see Neta, but not an ad before that. So what unit do you think is relevant?
Oh, that's what I know about,
you know what you do not like.
It's better to have a list of what to prevent.
I see.
Eliran,
something you want to add?
Yeah, so I 100% agree with Hanoch here. We had a lot of research on where to put. We just in 2016 we acquired Convert Media, which is a video platform that are now fully integrated with TABOOLA. And we had a lot of research and conversation and arguments inside TABOOLA where we want to put this video unit. If it's a pre-roll, mid-roll, or outstream, and if it's outstream, where we want to put it, implement it. So, and all the studies shows that the attention, yeah, you will get 100% viewability and completion rate if you put it as a mid-roll and or a pre-roll, but there will be something that that advertiser will need to address is the emotional and the relevancy of this ad to the user. That's one thing, and also did the user enjoy this ad? And if it's not, and most of us, okay, you browse the internet, you know what's happened when you see an ad or pre-roll or a mid-roll. So we saw that to put it as in the above our widget, where we know how to generate income for our publisher and how to serve our advertiser in the best way. So to put the unit below our widget, above our widget, exactly below the article, when people finish to read an article, now they are open to discover something new. If it's a good video ad, it works. We see that it's working for us, mainly when it's on a risk-free model. So that's one thing. I think the other thing is to think about, to look at the history and to think what will come, because the history is coming back all the time. So GDPR, ATXT, all those things comes because all the advertiser did some, like what they want. They stuck you with tons of ads, pop under and stuff like that, that injection, everything. We all part of this big industry, okay? And we saw that. And then comes the regulation to say, okay, I don't want that. Now, nobody loves mid-roll. I can't find one person that say, okay, in the middle of the movie, when I'm watching something, oh yeah, now I want to see an ad. It's not going to happen. So I believe that something going to change, and an advertiser will start to measure also not the effective of the ad, but if it's what's the sentiment of the user for the platform, not for the content, but only for the platform where you based your ads. So I think that's something that we will see that's changing in the next year or two. The model that I think is gonna it's what I see from advertisers that are working with us. It's more native content. It's not interrupting the user while he's browsing the web or reading a content or watching a video, and it's come along and it's very relevant to him. So that's any platform that will do something like that. I can see how it's going to be a big success in